Do you catch a cold in extremely cold places like the Arctic and Antarctic? The idea that you can't catch a cold in extremely cold places like the Arctic and Antarctic is only partially true. While cold weather doesn't directly cause colds, the environment in these regions creates conditions that make the transmission of cold viruses less likely. Here's a more detailed explanation. Characteristics of cold viruses. Colds are mainly caused by viruses such as rhinoviruses and coronaviruses. These viruses thrive in specific temperature and humidity conditions. Generally, cold viruses are more active in cool and dry environments, but the extremely low temperatures and dry conditions of the polar regions can be unfavorable for their survival. Unique conditions in polar regions. Low population density and limited contact. The Arctic and Antarctic have extremely low population densities, meaning there are very few opportunities for person-to-person contact, which is necessary for the transmission of cold viruses. Most people in these regions live in isolated research stations or military bases with minimal contact with the outside world, further reducing the likelihood of virus introduction and spread. Strict hygiene and quarantine measures. Research stations in polar regions enforce strict hygiene protocols and quarantine procedures. New arrivals and supplies undergo thorough disinfection and quarantine to prevent the introduction of viruses. People living in these stations maintain high standards of personal hygiene and adhere to preventive measures such as frequent hand washing and wearing masks. Virus survival environment. Extremely low temperatures and dry air in the polar regions create an environment where cold viruses struggle to survive. Viruses are more likely to become inactivated or die in such harsh conditions. Studies have shown that many viruses become structurally altered and lose their infectiousness at extremely low temperatures. Isolated living spaces. Inhabitants of polar research stations or military bases live in enclosed environments, reducing the chance of external virus entry. If an infection does occur, immediate isolation and treatment protocols are implemented to prevent the spread of the virus. Example: health management in Antarctic research stations. In Antarctic research stations, various measures are taken to prevent infectious diseases. For instance, all personnel must undergo medical examinations before arriving and spend a quarantine period upon arrival. Regular health checkups and strict hygiene protocols are maintained within the stations to prevent disease outbreaks. If an infectious disease does appear, immediate isolation and treatment measures are taken, including the use of antiviral medications or vaccines when necessary. Conclusion. In extremely cold environments like the Arctic and Antarctic, the survival and transmission of cold viruses are challenging due to low population density, strict hygiene practices, rigorous quarantine procedures, and harsh climatic conditions. These unique conditions help prevent the occurrence of colds. However, since it's impossible to completely eliminate the risk of virus introduction, continuous preventive measures are necessary.